Bombshells also out here showing. Ooh, I just hit the curb hard. Fans. Bombshells also out here showing. Ooh, I just hit the curb hard. Fans. Bombshells also out here showing. Ooh, I just hit the curb hard. Fans. Bombshells also out here showing. Ooh, I just hit the curb hard. Fans. Bombshells also out here showing. Ooh, I just hit the curb hard. Fans. Bombshells also out here showing. Ooh, I just hit the curb hard. Fans. Bombshells also out here showing. Ooh, I just hit the curb hard. Fans. Bombshells also out here showing. Ooh, I just hit the curb hard. Fans. Bombshells also out here showing. Ooh, I just hit the curb hard. Fans. Bombshells also out here showing. Ooh, I just hit the curb hard. Fans. Bombshells also out here showing. Ooh, I just hit the curb hard. Fans. Bombshells also out here showing. Ooh, I just hit the curb hard. Fans. Bombshells also out here showing. Ooh, I just hit the curb hard. Fans. Bombshells also out here showing. Ooh, I just hit the curb hard. Fans. Bombshells also out here showing. Ooh, I just hit the curb hard. Fans. Bombshells also out here showing. Ooh, I just hit the curb hard. Fans. Bombshells also out here showing. Ooh, I just hit the curb hard. Fans. Bombshells also out here showing. Ooh, I just hit the curb hard.
Hey y'all. Hey T. Hey Chillax. Hey Lady Bathory. Are you at work? Hey Thor. Hey Chicken Cakes. I love your intro. I laugh every time. It gets old. No, it doesn't. She hit the curb. She hit the curb, driving her little Mercedes, trying to talk about Bombshell, and the universe had to let her know what's up. Although she didn't learn a lesson, so I worked random channel surfing. Oh, cool. Welcome. Hey Dal, I'm in bed. Have company staying over. Oh, staying overnight. Okay. It's good to see you, Chillax. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. So I wanted to talk about the Ohio shit for a minute, but T just sent me something else. I don't think it's about the Ohio thing. He said something about war. Oh, okay. Hold on 1 second. We're gonna listen to just the audio from my message and see what it's about.
Canadian prepper here. I got some very unfortunate news today. The war has taken a turn for the worse. In just the past few hours, there's been a major escalation, and the mainstream is not talking
This was put out 1 hour ago.
about it yet, but they will be in the days coming forward because everything seems to be lining up for Belarus to directly enter this conflict. Now, there's been an attack on a Belarusian airbase just south of the capital, Minsk, just minutes south of the capital city of Belarus. Okay, there was a Russian spy plane, an AWACS plane, one of 9 of their fleet. These are very expensive airplanes. I'm going to show you some pictures of where exactly this attack took place and what plane was damaged. But this is a $300 million airplane that was destroyed in this attack that they're alleging was Ukrainian drones. Now, there's some Ukrainian intelligence coming out that no, this was in fact Belarusian defectors signaling that there might be some disunity within that country. We're going to talk about the consequences of this because remember, just earlier this week, Luka.
Oh, Chillax, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope everything's okay. You're definitely missed. Hey, Ken. Oh, yeah, something's definitely gonna happen, for sure.
Poroshenko made a promise that if we are attacked, we will directly enter the war. Now, let's put in perspective what has happened just in the past week. You have the Russian suspension of the final remaining nuclear treaty signaling a new nuclear arms race. We have Lukashenko pledging to expand their military by 150,000, saying that they can have 1.5 million in military reserves if they need to. Of course, we had him say that if we are attacked, we're going to enter the conflict. The same week, you have Moscow suspending oil to Poland via the Druzhba pipeline. You have Poland installing anti-tank Hedgehog defense systems on the border with Belarus as well as the border with Kaliningrad. On the same week, you have the Moldovan front being called into question with the Transnistrian ammo dump being
Okay, this is 34 minutes long, so we're gonna move on from that. I'll have to look into that a little bit more before I have like an opinion on anything. I agree, Lady Bathory, something is gonna happen. For sure. How can it not? I mean, like, it's all leading up to something. It has to be. I wanted to show y'all, give me a second to pull it up. I just found out earlier today, and Mel D had left me a comment, and she asked, why are they sending that contaminated shit to Michigan? And I was like, I don't know what she's talking about, so I'm not going to respond. And then literally like 2 minutes later, I'm scrolling through YouTube and I come across what I'm about to show y'all. Apparently they had put it on pause for a minute, but now it's, now they're going to go through with it. Dang, I've watched a lot of shit since then. Damn it. I thought I had everything in order. My bad, y'all. Definitely not in order. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna mute up so it doesn't echo.
Question everyone's asking is, why then would you bring this stuff to Michigan?
Yeah, that is a really big question here. What we've learned is that this material, much of it will be handled via what's called a deep well injection. Essentially what they do is they take liquid waste and they inject it, send it about a mile down into the earth. But here's the thing, local officials here and some federal officials from Michigan, from the Detroit area, they say they were totally blindsided by this. And after seeing the headlines, they have a lot.
Totally blindsided by this. So you mean to tell me that these companies are allowed to take toxic shit wherever the fuck they want to, and there's no like oversight, no officials know about it, none of that shit? Get the fuck out of here.
A lot of questions.
It sounds, for all intent and purposes, like we've been sandbagged.
Wayne County Executive Warren Evans with local and federal officials in a late Friday night press conference slamming the transport of hazardous.
Chillax, that's what they were saying initially. So I guess this is why everyone's acting as if they're surprised by it, because that's what they were saying. They were taking it to Texas. So everyone was questioning, you know, like, why are you taking it that far? And that was just like yesterday or maybe the day before. So how the fuck, I mean, it's not that long of a drive from Ohio to Michigan, but how, no, none of this makes sense. No one knew nothing. I don't believe that shit.
Materials to Michigan from Ohio following the train derailment there earlier this month. He says there was no heads up with major concerns over vinyl chloride, the chemical compound in question.
Some of it has already been delivered. Okay, we know it's at these, some of it's at these facilities. Not everything has been transported yet, but we know some of it's here. Both the liquid waste that would be deep well injected into a Republic site in Romulus, which is in Wayne County, and that the solid waste was going to go to another Republic site in Van Buren Township, also.
Remember that name, Van Buren Township. Hey, Isla.
In Wayne County.
Ohio Governor Mike DeWine's office tweeted out this video of a dump truck being loaded with a caption saying contaminated soil continues to be removed from the site of the train derailment in East Palestine that's on the Pennsylvania border and hauled to Michigan for disposal. A release from his administration says that under the direction of the Ohio EPA, Norfolk Southern brought in large dump trucks to move contaminated soil up north as part of that train derailment cleanup.
We learned about it via the grapevine and then saw that Governor DeWine had announced it on his site, and the governor did not call the governor or give anybody a heads up.
I don't know how you do that without contacting the local officials so that we can, number one, know how to respond to our communities, and number two, give advice in terms of routes that you may take and those other sorts of things.
The feds have already been investigating the cause of the early February derailment spurred on by a wheel bearing that overheated to a dangerous level, according to the NTSB. Residents in East Palestine have long expressed their health concerns and worries about air quality and drinking water amid an aftermath that has included a controlled burn of chemicals and dead animals found in the area.
You take the chemical and you release it, it's going to start interacting with all kinds of other stuff in the air. The first known studies found toxicity related to the liver in ingestion. There's also been elevated glucose intolerance, so symptoms akin to diabetes. And then we know that it causes lung inflammation and it causes tumors. It's a carcinogen.
All right, so the big question, why here? Why Michigan? Why Metro Detroit? Well, local officials in this press conference, what they said was, from what they were able to learn, Ohio does not have the licensed disposal facilities that can take in this type of waste, that they exist only in really a few different parts of the country, though Michigan is actually one of those spots. Now, the Wayne County officials say it's their understanding that this facility has also been cited in the past. They're working to find out more about that. We are as well, and there's still a lot of questions in all of this. We have calls into the EPA to see exactly how they're going to oversee this. We haven't heard back. We'll let you know when we do. For now, live in Romulus, Dave Kinchin, Fox 2 News.
Yeah, so Dave, this company Republic, they used their discretion and said, hey, look, let's send over this stuff to the disposal site in Michigan. You're hearing officials here saying, hey, not in our backyard, but was that company?
So again, these companies are making these decisions. Hey, Titty. Yeah, it used to be Palestine, but over time, they started pronouncing it different, so now it's Palestine. Yeah. This is about done though, and then like I said, remember Van Buren Township. I'm going to show y'all something else.
Required to contact officials? Was it a requirement, or was it simply a courtesy locals were looking for?
Well, it seems like it's a little bit of both there, especially because they want to know how can they relay this information to the people? How could they relay it to the folks? You heard the county executive talking about safe travel routes, answering questions so that they can put together some information, because there's a lot of communities, 1.8 million residents in Wayne County, that want to know what this could mean to them. So certainly it sounds like they were looking for a courtesy, no doubt.
In the meantime, I know they put a stop to this. Is there more of this stuff on pause right now? Is that basically where we're at?
Yeah, that's where we are right now. It's on pause. That's what Congresswoman Dingell said, that the EPA assured her of, that it's all stopped for now. 5 trucks, no more, at least for now. Could that change? No idea. We'll certainly have to keep watching it.
Okay, now give me a second to pull up this other one. This was right after the Ohio train derailment. And this is where they're bringing this shit. This was 10 days ago. Hey, David. Hey, Tanya. Hey, Becca. So, as of right now, they put it on pause. But I do believe, yeah, there was another derailment in Van Buren Township where they're bringing that shit. And this was 10 days ago. So, like a few days after the Ohio derailment. This is in Van Buren Township, this right here. I don't know if they talk throughout this one or not. I'll play a different video in a second.
Back to our breaking news. A train has derailed in Van Buren Township. Drone 4 overhead showing several of those cars off the tracks. It appears maybe 6 to 7 of them. It's in the area of Huron River Drive between Martinsville and Haggerty Roads. Rod Maloney is live there for us this afternoon. And Rod, it may be too soon, but any chance we know what was being hauled in those cars?
Well, there were a lot of things on here. It looks like there's some coal. They also had car haulers here that were empty as we got a chance to look at them. But take a look down the track here, and you can see that there are a number of rail cars there that have actually gone over on their side. There are seven actual train cars that have gone off the track. Several of them are on their side. Now, Dave McAnally is the chief of the Van Buren Fire Department, and he is here to kind of give us the update. And Chief, we've had a couple of conflicting reports about what's out here, hazardous materials not, and so forth. So tell us a little bit about what you know about what they've been carrying here and what the status is out here.
There was only one car that had hazardous materials on it. It was liquid chlorine. The car was not affected in the incident, had no leaks, and it didn't come off the tracks, and has already been gone for about 45 minutes now. They've taken half the train away. The other half of the train here should be, or a good portion of this train should be gone in the other direction within the next hour. They're telling me Norfolk is. And then in about 6 to 8 hours, they should have the rest of the cars that you see there up on the tracks on the way.
This has been quite the sort of traffic snarl around here, and you're saying that should abate here shortly?
Yeah, hopefully within the next hour, we'll have the two major crossings on this area of the township open, and the people can traverse. They can go through the city, or they can go to Hannon Road now to get around.
Talk about, I mean, we know what happened in Ohio a couple of weeks ago. Did that sort of go across your mind? And, is there a plan for a township like Van Buren to be able to cope with something that could get out of hand?
Yeah, we work very closely with Wayne County Emergency Management, Wayne County Homeland Security. We have stuff set up for something like that was going to happen. Those calls were made within minutes of us getting here, verifying that we didn't have those circumstances and situations.
So we're blessed in this one.
Yeah, it's almost like a non-incident per se, other than traffic and some issues with the train.
Well, we like it when that happens.
Yep.
Chief, thank you so much. We appreciate that. So, Jason, we've got some more pictures, and we're going to talk to some of the neighbors here. But as it stands right now, they should have this cleared up later on this afternoon. Reporting live in Van Buren Township, Rod Maloney, Local 4.
Yeah, really good information, Rod, especially to people in that area, people living nearby, to hear just an update on this is turning out to be a non-event. Very good to hear. All right, Rod Maloney, we appreciate it.
A non-issue, by the way, a non-incident, not a non-issue. Real estate, yes. Prime real estate, no. Not that I would think personally. They probably won't be able to get the toxic chemicals out of that soil at this point. No, they shouldn't. They did that shit for no reason in the first place. Why the fuck didn't they just transfer it, get a damn vac truck, and transfer that shit to another car or a truck, whatever? Come on now. They had no reason to do that shit. And again, why are these big corporations even allowed to make these decisions? And right, see, how do we even know what was on that train? I was telling y'all the other night, every single thing, even if it's not considered like toxic, everything in our plant has to be labeled. Like ingredients, all types of shit, everything. So you mean to tell me that these big ass trains that are traveling all over the world don't have to have a fucking, label on the side or paperwork with the conductors? Like, shit don't make no sense. Tanya, I'm not far from there either. I don't want to say, how close or far, but not far. Hey, Pac-Man. I don't know, y'all. Shit is fucking crazy. That's what I do know. There was something else that I was watching. Let me see. Give me 1 second to go through my history again. Oh, you don't want to see some shit about conspiracy theories? We're all, well, most of us, right? They labeled everyone conspiracy theorists. Hang on 1 second. Hold that thought.
We have new We have new information tonight on what may have caused the coronavirus outbreak. A new report reveals COVID-19 may have accidentally been leaked from a lab in Wuhan, China. The Wall Street Journal says We have new information tonight on what may have caused the coronavirus outbreak. A new report reveals COVID-19 may have accidentally been leaked from a lab in Wuhan, China. The Wall Street Journal, Wuhan, China. The Wall Street leaked from a lab in Wuhan, China. The accidentally been leaked from a lab in Wuhan, China. The Wall accidentally been leaked from a lab in Wuhan, China. 19 may have accidentally been leaked from a lab in Wuhan, China. The Wall Street Journal says the low
I'm sorry. Come again? Hey, Looking Beyond. Right, see, that's what I'm saying, but we were called freaking conspiracy theorists for saying that COVID came from a fucking lab. Let me see. It probably had leaks. Wait, what, David? Leaked Souch? Such? That transfer was out of? They sure do. It's all BS. I'm far. Good, Titty. You're just not telling us that. Thank you, Isla, for sure. I'm trying. I mean, damn. Chasing better pack up the dogs and the fish tanks because she's coming too. I love you, T. The rail cars do not have labels on them. That's what I'm saying. They should. That's fucking crazy. Fucking crazy. Yes, I am downriver. I'm downriver. I said that from the beginning, and my video was taken from YouTube in 2020. Yep. There's a movie called Super 8 that was about a train that released a monster. Ooh. I know everyone's been saying, watch White Noise or whatever that one is on Netflix. I have a clip that shows that it was funded by the Obama-Biden administration back in 2015, and they abandoned it to China. It's a natural virus that I believe was altered by man. Hey, Amber. They said, they said misinformation. Like I said, we're all fucking conspiracy theorists. The leak was on purpose. Fuck yeah, it was on purpose. Like I said, they could have. There's other shit they could have done that they didn't. Wait. Okay, pause. Wait, what? Yeah, there's water all around us, T. Literally. Right, to the right of us, to the left of us, to the top of us. Like, we're surrounded by water. No, it said that shit was created to do exactly what it's been doing. Yeah, population control. Okay, I'm like way behind. Hang on. If some shit gets contaminated over there, that's massive. Oh yeah, fuck yeah, it's massive. Absolutely. We are, like I said, we're surrounded by water. I agree, Titty. It's COVID-19 because it's the 19th variant. I believe ABC News has the story on it. Oh, and the U.S. government funded the Wuhan lab. It's been around for years. Definitely man-made. Maybe the food, the water. Yeah, we also have crops and stuff here as well. T didn't know that until the other day. We're not all just industrial and city. We have crops and shit here as well. Yeah, we're fucked, pretty much, basically. I mean, yeah, pretty much. What was that shit we watched, T, in the beginning with Chasing on her channel, where they basically played out COVID? What was that shit called? Funny how it started right in Wuhan, but it didn't come from a lab. Bill Gates that already announced he wanted to kill off all the fish in the water and destroy. Really? Did he? You don't remember what that was called? I'm gonna have to ask Chasing what that was called because they literally played out like a COVID scenario. We watched it. Every virus that is around was created in a lab, and we are the social experiment. All right, let me finish reading this. Bill Gates. Bill Gates that already announced he wanted to kill off all the fish in the water and destroy all of our livestock so we can make his own lab food. That doesn't surprise me. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Not at all. Right? So much info in my head. Damn, what was that shit called? Maybe something about the cabal. Let me see if I can find that shit real quick. Hang on. Did I respond to Tanya? I am downriver. I'm not sure if she's still here or not. Damn, why can't I remember what that shit was called? What the fuck? It's showing me. Wow. Damn, why can't I remember what that shit was called? That's gonna bother me now. I'm gonna have to ask Chasing. We watched it. I doubt she's awake right now, but I'm about to text her. Let me see. I'm sorry, y'all. Hang on one second. I'm gonna text her. I doubt she's awake though. No, I don't think it was a book where someone predicted it. It was literally like the government playing out exactly what happened. I'm gonna live in a fucking metaverse, eat no goddamn pellets for food. Yeah, I know she's probably asleep, but at least she can tell me tomorrow and we can get into it on a different day. Because that shit was wild. I do know that there's an old video of Bill Gates saying that there was an outbreak coming and we weren't prepared for it or something like that. I do remember that. That's basically what the video was, T. And now it's really pissing me off that I can't freaking remember. What is this?
Welcome to this presentation on COVID-19 aerosols and simulation.
Oh no, this is about droplets. Hmm.
Have you ever wondered why we go to war, or why you never seem to be able to get out of debt? Why there is poverty,
You can't hear me? Frontline? Yes, that the other video I was just talking about, Amber, was a Bill Gates TED Talk about how we weren't prepared for the next pandemic. Yeah, I can play that one. I remember that one. But it's really gonna make you mad. Frontline? Let me see. No. Although they do have a shit ton of documentaries. I don't know. I'll ask Chasing about it and we can. Okay. Yeah, I'll ask Chasing about it and we can talk about it next time. That's like if a murderer tells you, I'm gonna come to your house at 4 a.m. and I'm gonna kill you in your sleep, but the person just doesn't listen or prepare. That's, yeah. Yep. Oh, I love Project Veritas, but no. No, it was like it was our actual government basically playing out what would happen if a pandemic or epidemic did break out. And I can't even remember, it was so long ago. But it was like to the T. It was so weird. Maybe let me look at Project's thing like 2 years ago because they might have touched on it a little bit because it was super weird, like the coincidence. It wasn't our government? I thought it was. See, I don't even remember. They were like playing out as our government though. If I remember correctly. That's not our government, that's the World Economic Forum. I remember it was a safety drill. Event 201. God damn it. Yes. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry, y'all. I just sat here for like ever trying to figure this shit out. My bad. Okay, so it's Event 201 Pandemic Exercise, Segment 1, Intro and Medical. Hold on. Is that the right one? Bill Gates has a warning about deadly epidemics 6 years ago. The fuck out of here. He probably helped create that shit.
Hello, everyone. I'm Anita Cicero.
This is an exercise. Yes, he did do a video, not a video, he did do a TED Talk where he talked about the epidemic that was coming. I'm about to play this for a second, hang on. This is an exercise, like I said, right before the pandemic, too.
Hello, everyone. I'm Anita Cicero, Deputy Director of the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security. And today I will be your Master of Ceremonies for Event 201. On behalf of our center and our partners, the World Economic Forum and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, I'd like to extend a very
Did y'all hear that? The what foundation?
security. And today I will be your Master of Ceremonies for Event 201. On behalf of our center and our partners, the World Economic Forum and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to our audience here in New York, as well as our larger virtual audience participating online today. The goal of the Event 201 exercise is to illustrate the potential consequences of a pandemic and the kinds of societal and economic challenges it would pose. The scenario also highlights the very critical role that global business and public-private partnerships play in preparing for and responding to pandemics. Today's scenario is going to simulate meetings of a multi-stakeholder group called the Pandemic Emergency Board. This board has been urgently convened by the World Economic Forum, and Johns Hopkins has been asked to moderate the board meetings and provide expertise to emergency board members here in New York. And with that, Henry Schein, Chris Elias, Thomas from Johnson & Johnson.
Deforestation, and other trends of our modern world. In other words, we're in a new era of epidemic risk. And the second dimension is that one of these days, one of these epidemic events will be a pandemic, a fast-moving pandemic. And mitigating risk and impact of that pandemic will require an all-hands-on-deck approach. And we know from past responses that public-private cooperation will be essential. We also know from these responses that there are some bright spots when it comes to public-private cooperation, but some
I love you too, T. I don't want to play the whole thing. I just wanted to show, like, this type of shit was coming out from jump. But now all of a sudden, you got, what did I play earlier? Was that ABC or some shit? Talking about it might have come from a lab. Like, people been saying that. Been saying that. Yes, your brain does work. I'm still here. I'm just feeding my fat face. I got the munchies. Bill Gates is behind all of this shit. Yeah. Yep. Stakeholder group. I believe Billy was put into power by who really runs the show. These people are behind the curtain. We don't know, in my opinion. So you don't think it's like the Rockefellers and that whole setup, T? Or do you think there's even more bigger shit behind it? I gotta adjust myself in this damn chair. Oh, this must have been the one that Tanya was talking about. Coronavirus pandemic full documentary frontline. This is one of Bill Gates' TED Talks. Oh wow, that one's 40 minutes. He's got a much smaller clip out there somewhere. Oh, even more powerful, in your opinion? Probably. I like how they put this little label on here. COVID-19 vaccine. Get the latest information from the CDC. Okay. Isla, did you look over that article that I sent you about all those athletes? That's another thing they're calling a conspiracy, is all those athletes falling over, and damn near every one of them had the vaccine. Let me stop sharing this for a second. I would like just a little snippet of this. This is a highlight reel. This is only 11 minutes. We'll watch this for a second. Like I said, it's just fucking crazy to me that I might have an answer to you. It's just crazy to me that every time I get it, like QAnon and all that type of stuff is a little overboard. I get it, but that doesn't mean. Hey, Romeo. Thank you. Have a good night. Why we don't send the contamination thing to Epstein Island? No one lives there. That's a very good question, T. They probably say, oh, we don't want to fly with it, blah, blah, blah. They don't care to bring it here, though. Were all the athletes that pass of a certain race? Or no, there's multiple races. No. I'll, after we play this little highlight thing, I'll pull it up, T. And it's a lot of them, even very young, healthy athletes. Like, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. And the one thing that they have in common is the vaccine. But let's watch this for a minute and then we'll look at that.
It began in healthy-looking pigs, months, perhaps years ago. A new coronavirus spread silently within herds. Gradually, farmers started getting sick. Infected people got a respiratory illness with symptoms ranging from mild flu-like signs to severe pneumonia. The sickest required intensive care, many died. Experts agree, unless it is quickly controlled, it could lead to a severe pandemic, an outbreak that circles the globe and affects people everywhere.
The mission of the Pandemic Emergency Board is to provide recommendations to deal with the major global challenges arising in response to an unfolding pandemic. The board is comprised of highly experienced leaders from business, public health, and civil society.
We could be looking at double the number of cases in 1 week and 16 times as many in a month if we are not able to stop the spread. That would be on the order of 500,000 cases, and it would continue to rise exponentially. In 3 months, we could be approaching 10 million cases.
We're at the start of what's looking like it will be a severe pandemic. And there are problems emerging that can only be solved by global business and governments working together.
We have known about caps-like viruses in animals and people for decades, but have not been successful at developing a licensed vaccine. And sure, there are new technologies that may help, but it's going to be difficult. I am not optimistic about having a vaccine in time to be relevant during this pandemic.
So the policy crisis in question for this board in this meeting is this: how should governments, business, and international organizations allocate and distribute pandemic antivirals and medical supplies to the people who need them most?
What we've seen work very well in the HIV field is, in fact, procurement through the Global Fund. So having a centralized mechanism, so financially able to procure on behalf of affected countries will be critical. I think the second thing is it's going to be very important that for the business sector, for manufacturers of antivirals, that we have.
Also, isn't it a little funny that we were holding these types of things and we still weren't ready or prepared? Like, we didn't even have enough masks, let alone, anything else. We're doing good, Romeo. Thank you. Where I'm at, there's a train. Oh, right behind you. That's fucking scary. It's really, I never even thought about it until all this shit started happening. It never even crossed my mind that that could be like a danger. It's fucking wild.
Clarity around what the need is and where the need is and who are making the decisions.
I think that given that the countries most affected are those that are low and middle income countries with unequal access to technology, to finances, the UN has a worldwide footprint, universally recognized, and universal membership.
A global stockpile would certainly help ensure more rational and strategic allocation, but the reality is that we don't have the logistics capability, even within the UN, to bring that together in one place and run it. So this is where I think a collaboration between the international organizations like the World Health Organization and the private sector, which runs these supply chains for many purposes every day, understand where the supplies are, make smart decisions about how to allocate them to the people who need them in the places that need them the most, and then work with the industry to move those supplies from where they are today to where they need to be.
Just to underscore the point that cooperation among supply chain providers or businesses that have huge supply chains can add a lot of efficiency to the whole process.
The question is, can you, through this international mechanism, really promote commitments to doing this as quickly as possible and give people a sense that actually if they contribute more, that they will have a better chance of protecting their own populations and their country's security and health.
So to be completely clear, most of this production would already be committed in contracts.
Yes.
It is almost unheard of that people are producing product without having a forward commitment for the consumption of that product. So the first thing that needs to be done, because this is not something that countries currently control, unless countries are going to bring about emergency situations and co-opt an existing supply chain.
I think it's not likely, I agree, that countries are not going to buy a countermeasure to put into a global supply without retaining a large portion of it for themselves.
Public health agencies have issued travel advisories, while some countries have banned travel from the worst affected areas. As a result, the travel sector is taking a huge hit. Travel bookings are down 45%, and many flights have been canceled. A ripple effect is racing through the service sector. Governments that rely on travel and tourism as a large part of their economies are being hit particularly hard.
How should national leaders, businesses, and international organizations balance the risk of worsening disease that would be caused by the continued movement of people around the world against the risks of profound economic consequence of travel and trade bans?
If there's some sense that there's a UN institution that can do all of this, then I worry we're suffering from a delusional disorder on the power of the UN. It's really important to get those industries and their trade associations and an efficient leadership established, which is decentralized, but has a collective responsibility and accountability. And that needs to be supported by the public leadership.
What is essential, what is non-essential travel, we have to clarify this. Otherwise, if we go down to 20% bookings over a long period, the company will run down. That's a fact.
Yeah, there's a whole complex set of issues in a highly interdependent world on supply chains that are just in time. We need to think about how much flex there is in that just-in-time supply chain system and make sure it keeps running. I think it's going to take specificity, and it's going to take knowledge that only the private sector has. The UN can play an important coordinating facilitation role, but the companies know where those commodities are, where they move, how to move them. And that's where a type of public-private collaboration that we have not generally had in these crises needs to be put together pretty quickly.
We are not out of money yet, but the fact is we are trending in a dangerous direction and something needs to change.
So the policy question for this board now is, how should financial resources be prioritized? Are there nodes that we cannot allow to fail? What is your sense of priorities? We don't have money to pay for all of these urgent problems.
So at the moment, we want the funds, right? You need the money. So where's the money? So government kind of supplies some money. A lot of, private sectors, some are sitting here, you have some money. But now you need a really coordinated, centralized efforts.
Hotels will be experiencing, crippling losses doing that. And we know that the hotel business in itself makes up 5% of the GDP.
Governments need to be willing to do things that are out of their historical perspective, or for the most part, it's really a war footing that we need to be on.
We shouldn't underestimate the power of entrepreneurship. We need to escalate that, whether it's through the governments helping with tax breaks or subsidies of that nature to increase manufacturing of those types of products. It can happen quickly. A Marshall-type plan, don't mean to say that exactly, but a Marshall plan that can go into effect can stimulate change very quickly.
Countries are reacting in different ways as to how best to manage the overwhelming amounts of dis and misinformation circulating over the internet. In some cases, limited internet shutdowns are being implemented to quell panic.
How much control of information should there be, and by whom? And how can false information be effectively challenged? And what if that false information is coming from companies or from governments?
I think it's very important that we make sure that there is concise communication with all healthcare facilities where these patients are being treated so that there isn't mass panic.
We're at a moment where the social media platforms have to step forward and recognize the moment to assert that they're a technology platform and not a broadcaster is over. They, in fact, have to be a participant in broadcasting accurate information and partnering with the scientific and health communities to counterweight, if not flood the zone of accurate information, because to try to put the genie back in the bottle of the misinformation and disinformation is nigh impossible.
One thing we haven't spoken about, and I'm wondering whether it's time to talk about this, is a step up from the part of the governments on enforcement actions against fake news.
I personally do not believe that trying to shut things down in terms of information is either practical or desirable. And we do have, I think, a couple of strategies that are available to us, one of which is the flood strategy, second of which is relying and informing and equipping trusted sources of information with the facts so they can then pass that on. But we also need to actually think about a technological answer to this.
The outcome of the CAPS pandemic in Event 201 was catastrophic. 65 million people died in the first 18 months. The outbreak was small at first and initially seemed controllable, but then it started spreading in densely crowded and impoverished neighborhoods of megacities. From that point on, the spread of the disease was explosive. Within 6 months, cases were occurring in nearly every country. The global economy was in a free fall. The GDP down 11%. Stock markets around the world plummeted between 20 and 40% and headed into a downward cycle of fear and low expectation. Businesses were not borrowing, banks were not lending. Everyone was just hoping to hunker down and weather the storm. Economists say the economic turmoil caused by such a pandemic will last for years, perhaps a decade. The societal impacts, the loss of faith in government, the distrust of news, and the breakdown of social cohesion could last even longer. We have to ask, did this need to be so bad? Are there things we could have done in the 5 to 10 years leading up to the pandemic that would have lessened the catastrophic consequences? We believe the answer is yes. So, are we as a global community now finally ready to do the hard work?
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm looking for this damn list, but because they don't want it linked, it's basically just saying like, oh, anti-vaxxers are falsely blaming the vaccine or whatever the fuck. It's just page after page after page of that. So put a pin on this comment, BXO. Do you remember the CDC employee who went missing and was found murdered in a place where no one had access right before the pandemic? Was it, did they have like a pond or something like that on their property? I remember something like that, but I can't remember the details. So this is about to be done. I'm going to finish this, and then I'll show you the one list that I can find, but it's not an actual list.
Needed to prepare for the next pandemic.
Okay. I think he was a whistleblower about to warn us. I'm sorry, T. We can do this another day. River, he went for a run and was found months later dead. See, I thought it had something to do with water. I couldn't remember. Alright, so this is basically the only one that I could find. Like I said, everything else is like, oh, anti-vaxxers. They're misleading. A teenage girl has become the latest young person to suddenly collapse and die in the middle of a sporting event. She was playing flag football. She was 16. She was hospitalized, died later that night. It does say that the cause and manner of death have not been determined, but the fact that she fell out on a field. And then an Air Force cadet collapsed. A basketball player. We know of that football player that just did as well. Here's another young person. Oh no, this is the the football player, excuse me, Damar, the one that it just recently happened to. As CBN News has reported, researchers with the Florida Department of Health found that the mRNA vaccines are associated with an 84% increase in cardiac-related adverse events among males 18 to 39 years old. Now, what's crazy is they will admit that, it's causing heart problems. So here's another one, Jake. Yet they refuse to admit that he's a soccer player, I guess. But they refuse to admit that there may be, or is more than likely, connected. Yeah, that was like a big game, so a lot of people seen that as it happened. But yeah, Timothy Cunningham. Hey Roger, I hope you're doing good. Let me catch up. Oh, hang on, T. I gotta pull up another tab to play that link. Excuse me.
The body of a CDC employee who disappeared without a trace more than the body of a CDC.
Damn it. Okay. Present. Let me mute.
The body of a CDC employee who disappeared without a trace more than a month ago was found this week. But what happened to him is still a mystery. Here's Mark Strassman in Atlanta.
Timothy Cunningham was 35, Harvard-educated, and a leading disease specialist at Atlanta's Centers for Disease Control. At his home 7 weeks ago, relatives found his cell phone, car keys, and his dog, but no sign of him until now. Atlanta Fire Rescue spokesman Cortez Stafford.
The body was found along the bank of the river, and it was found face up. It was stuck in a lot of mud as well.
Cunningham's disappearance made national headlines. Police refuted social media conspiracy theories that the scientist had stolen a virus and fled. Coworkers said on February 12th he was passed over for a new job at the CDC, left work upset, and vanished. Flyers, search teams, and a $15,000 reward produced nothing. On Tuesday night, fishermen spotted a body partially submerged in the Chattahoochee River. Medical examiner Dr. Jan Gorniak.
There was no signs of any foul play. Right now, the preliminary cause of death is drowning, but since the investigation is still open, we do not have a manner of death as whether it's an accident, suicide, or anything other than that.
Authorities say last February they searched the same part of this river where the body was discovered and found nothing. And Jeff, they admit without new evidence, they may never know how Cunningham ended up in the river.
All right, Mark Strassman, thank you very much.
There is a $10,000 reward for information about the mysterious disappearance of a CDC scientist. Timothy Cunningham is an epidemiologist in Atlanta and has been missing for more than 2 weeks.
He left work early on February 12th saying he felt sick. Omar Villafranca has more on the search to find him.
Investigators returned to the woods around Timothy Cunningham's house Monday, searching for more clues.
I'm not so sure what else we can do with that area.
His family found his wallet, his car, even his beloved dog, all left behind in his Atlanta home.
Timothy has been unaccounted for since the 12th.
Cunningham's father, Darrell, drove from Maryland to Georgia after not hearing from his son for 2 days. His parents and other family members have been putting up missing posters throughout Cunningham's neighborhood, and they're trying to get the word out about his disappearance through the media.
He has such a history of being so responsible and dependable that I think that is what puts us all in such disbelief.
Cunningham graduated from Morehouse College and earned advanced degrees from Harvard. The 35-year-old CDC scientist reportedly lived alone. His next-door neighbor, Viviana Torrey, says Cunningham said something odd to her husband the day he disappeared.
He told my husband to tell his wife, me, to erase his cell phone number from my cell phone.
Police do not suspect foul play, but they also say they're exploring all possibilities. Cunningham's family is pleading for the public's help.
If anyone sees anything that relates to or think you have seen Timothy, please call the number.
Omar Villafranca is near Cunningham's home in Atlanta. So, Omar, this whole story is so odd. But that last bit in your piece there, where he tells the neighbor to tell your wife, erase my number out of her cell phone, that's just sort of this odd little nugget. What do police make of it?
Well, it might give them some sort of clue for a motive, but at this point, they have to find him. They have to find Dr. Cunningham, and that is the big thing. While that may be a clue, it's not going to really do anything for the investigation until they actually find him. And his friends and other people, too, have been basically putting posters and flyers all over the city if anybody has possibly seen him. And there's a $10,000 reward that's being offered by the police department. Friends are even starting a GoFundMe page and to try to increase.
So that was obviously before they found his body, but the reason why I clicked on it was because the title says that the neighbor said to delete his phone number. And I think it's fucking crazy that they're even trying to put it out there that this man killed himself. There's no way. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, Isla, you can drop that. We'll play that, and then I'll probably get off here. Oh, they had a press conference. Let me scroll down here a little bit. Read these other ones. Yeah, I definitely don't believe it. Not for a second. Did you hear about the Clinton aide that apparently shot himself in the stomach that was tied to a tree? Who's gonna call me and wake me up at 4? I won't be up, so I'm getting ready to go to sleep myself. Better set a couple of alarms. Even that shit's crazy. Like, I'm sure. Let me see if I can find a video on that. Oh my gosh. Let me show y'all this. They have a fact check on it. All I put in was Clinton aide found dead, and look at this fact check they have on here. Wow. Former Clinton White House aide wasn't murdered. Claim Clinton aide found dead tied to tree in apparent murder. Rating false. Oh, it won't even let me play a news clip? What? That's 9 years ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, a year ago, 6 years ago? You mean to tell me there's not one? Oh my gosh. Not one. Oh, there's one. So one person did a video. I don't want to like rip off other people's videos like that. This doesn't make any sense. Why isn't there a news clip on this? I'll play Tim Pool. His is only 10 minutes. I don't think he would mind. Let's see. Let me mute up. I'll be right back.
So I'm browsing the internet and I come across this story from the Daily Mail. Exclusive. Arkansas cops rule suicide in death of Clinton aide linked to Jeffrey Epstein, who was found shot and tied to a tree with an electrical cord around his neck, despite no weapon. No sign of weapon. Suicide. Okay. Remember that story of the guy who was threatening to expose the CIA and then he got shot twice in the head and they were like, suicide? Sure. That explains it. Good luck. You know, I've been talking about how I'm watching the show Yellowstone. Boy, they sure do kill a lot of people in that show and they get away with it all the time. I guess when you're in the middle of nowhere, you do. And the scary reality of this world is that premeditated murder, people get away with it. It's scary, but it's true. So what's this story? The grisly scene where a top Bill Clinton advisor was found hanged from a tree with a gunshot wound to his chest has finally been revealed 9 months after he died. But the sheerest report into Mark Middleton's mysterious death raises more question than it answers, as it rules he died by suicide despite no sign of the weapon that killed him. Middleton, 59, was found dead last May at the Heifer Ranch in Perryville, Arkansas, an hour west of Little Rock. Release of the report.
Isn't it also a little interesting that we're just now hearing this? I read it on the CDC website in 2021. Now they scrubbed it. Are you serious? A lot of info is gone. I have noticed that. And I was right. I seen that. Oh, about the Lucifer ingredient. This is why I don't trust the internet, and I only come on here to play games and watch YouTube videos to have fun, because I don't trust anything online. I feel you. I feel you, Isla. I didn't even hear about it, see? This is literally the first I've heard of it. Let me finish playing this. Listen to what he said, though. Tied to a tree.
Was held up after members of his family petitioned a judge. They were worried that pictures from the gory scene would be made public. The judge eventually ruled that details could be released, but photographs could not. Interesting. The report, written by Perry County Sheriff's Deputy Jeremy Lawson, says he was called to the ranch by worker Samantha McElroy, who had found Middleton's abandoned black BMW SUV. McElroy, 46, then walked around a cottage on the ranch. Almost immediately, after stepping around the corner of the cottage, she started yelling. Upon reaching the back of the cottage, she pointed towards the rear of the property and asked if that was a person. I could see what at first appeared to be a man sitting near a tree. As my eyes focused better, I could see a rope or some type going from the tree limb to the male. I could see that he had a gunshot wound to the chest, and that he had a knot tied in an extension cord around his neck and was attached to the limb directly above him. The deputy said a search of Milton's vehicle turned up 3 boxes of buckshot and a gun case, but no weapon. The details give fresh insight into the death of Middleton. Okay, just simply put, he didn't do it. It's not a suicide. What the is this? Did he have information that would lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton? Is it even a meme anymore? This is crazy. They find a guy tied to a tree with a gunshot wound to his chest and no weapon. Who took the weapon? Middleton was a special advisor to Clinton in the 90s and signed Jeffrey Epstein into the White House on several of the 17 times the late pedo visited. Middleton also flew on Epstein's jet. Interesting. The police report was released to the Daily Mail by the Perry County Sheriff's Office. According to the Arkansas Times, Middleton's family said he was suffering from depression. Okay, explain to me how a dude ties himself to a tree, shoots himself, and then the gun ceases to exist. Oof, just disappears, just gone. If it was a suicide, they'd find the weapon. It would be next to his body or in his hands. They say White House visitor logs previously reported by Daily Mail showed that he appears as the authorizing signatory on 7 of Epstein's White House visits, most of which were to the West Wing. In addition to being a special assistant to the president, Middleton was also assistant to the chief of staff, Thomas McClarty. Middleton left the White House in February 1995 and was accused of setting himself up as an international deal maker, exactly the kind of person that would appeal to Epstein. Very, very interesting indeed. HVAC, huh? In 1996, an investigation by the White House found that Middleton had abused his access to impress business clients and was barred from the executive mansion without senior approval. Middleton denied the claims. A number of Clinton's former associates have died over the years in unexpected circumstances, including Deputy White House counsel Vince Foster. His 1993 death was ruled a suicide, but sparked a slew of conspiracy theories about the involvement of the Clintons. They call it Arkanside. You know what that means? Okay. Arkanside is a reference to Arkansas, and side, death, like homicide, killing of a man. Regicide is probably my favorite term. It's the killing of royalty. There's a bunch of other sides. Infanticide, not so funny. None of it's really funny. Death is not funny. But yeah, Arkanside. After Epstein hanged himself while awaiting trial in 2019, Donald Trump retweeted conspiracy theories that Clinton was involved. Others whose death have been linked to the Clintons without foundation have been Seth Rich. No culprit was found. DailyMail.com has reached out to a spokeswoman for the Middleton family. There was some stuff recently about Seth Rich. I think it's funny that the media tries smearing me as like someone who believed it. There was a report from Fox News. No, I think it was Fox Business. Same thing, basically, right? And it said that they got a laptop that had information from WikiLeaks, and they think that was Seth Rich's laptop or whatever. I can't remember the story. And then I reported on it. And then the media was like, Tim Pool's pushing conspiracy theories. And I'm like, what are you talking about? NewsGuard certified Fox Business reported this. What am I supposed to do? I just read the news. You mad at me? Get mad at those companies that lie. So how do you answer this one? There's got to be more to this. So I will preface it with this. We get this story and they say it's suicide, but there's no weapon. It could be something very simple like a neighbor came and took the weapon. There could be explanations for it. Nonetheless, how do you rule it a suicide with no weapon? You ever see that movie? I think it's Shooter with Mark Wahlberg. And they capture the dude, and they put his arm in a vice, like in a vice grip or something.
World War III has never been closer than it is right now. We need to clean house of all of the warmongers and America last globalists in the deep state, the Pentagon, the State Department, and the national security industrial complex. One of the reasons I was the only president in generations who didn't start a war is that I was the only president who rejected the catastrophic advice of many of Washington's generals, bureaucrats, and the so-called diplomats who only know how to get us into conflict, but they don't know how to get us out. For decades, we've had the very same people, such as Victoria Nuland and many others just like her, obsessed with pushing Ukraine toward NATO, not to mention the State Department support for uprisings in Ukraine. These people have been seeking confrontation for a long time, much like the case in Iraq and other parts of the world. And now we're teetering on the brink of World War III. And a lot of people don't see it, but I see it. And I've been right about a lot of things. They all say Trump's been right about everything. None of this excuses in any way the outrageous and horrible invasion of Ukraine 1 year ago, which would have never happened if I was your president, not even a little chance. But it does mean that here in America, we need to get rid of the corrupt globalist establishment that has botched every major foreign policy decision for decades. And that includes President Biden, whose own people said he's never made a good decision when it comes to looking at other countries and looking at wars. We have to replace them with people who support American interests. Over our 4 years in the White House, we made incredible progress in putting the America Last contingent aside and bringing the world to peace. And now we're going to complete the mission. The State Department, Pentagon, and national security establishment will be a very different place by the end of my administration. In fact, just into my administration, it'll be a very different place, and it'll get things done, just like I did 4 years ago. We never had it so good. We'll also stop the lobbyists and the big defense contractors from going in and pushing our senior military and national security officials toward conflict, only to reward them when they retire with lucrative jobs, getting paid millions and millions of dollars. Take a look at the globalist warmonger donors backing our opponents. That's because they're candidates of war. I am the president who delivers peace, and it's peace through strength. There was a reason we had no conflict. There was a reason we didn't get into wars, because other countries respected us. I entirely built, all right from the beginning, rebuilt our military. It's a big reason for that. They didn't want to mess around with the United States, and now they're laughing at us. We could end the Ukraine conflict in 24 hours with the right leadership. At the end of my next 4 years, the warmongers and frauds and failures of the senior ranks of our government will all be gone, and we will have a new group of competent national security officials who believe in defending America's vital interests above all else. Thank you very much.
Well, alrighty then. World War III is closer than ever, y'all. Let's go, Brandon. Oh, you're a Gemini, Isla? Alright, y'all. I know T's gotta go to bed. I'm gonna get off here. I appreciate y'all for coming through. We'll touch on some more stuff like this soon. Hopefully on a day that T is off. I believe she's off my next 2 days off. So we'll get into some more shit then. Have a good night, y'all. I appreciate y'all coming through. Mwah.